The full moon hung heavy in the sky, a crimson eye staring down on the unsuspecting village. Its eerie glow bathed the rooftops in a sinister light, casting long, ominous shadows. A lone wolf howled, a mournful sound that echoed through the valley, sending shivers down the spines of those who heard it. The forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Elias, the village blacksmith, felt a shiver crawl down his spine. He paused, hammer in hand, a strange unease gripping him. The familiar warmth of the forge offered no comfort tonight. The air itself seemed to crackle with unseen energy, a palpable tension that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. Elias shook his head, trying to dispel the sudden fear. He was imagining things, he told himself, but the feeling of dread was hard to ignore. He went back to work, the rhythmic clang of metal against metal a poor shield against the growing darkness in his soul. Each strike felt heavier, more burdensome. The air grew colder, biting at his skin like icy fingers. The warmth of the forge seemed distant, almost unreachable. He felt a pressure building within him, a monstrous hunger he couldn't explain. It gnawed at him, relentless and insatiable, his vision blurred, his reflection in the metal a grotesque mockery of a man. The face staring back at him was twisted, almost unrecognizable, his teeth sharpened, his nails becoming claws. The pain was excruciating, yet he couldn't stop the transformation. He let out a roar, a primal scream of pain and confusion as his body contorted, morphing into a horrifying beast. The transformation was complete, leaving nothing of the man he once was. The wolf within him, now in control, turned its bloodshot eyes towards the village. The hunt had begun, and no one would be spared from its wrath. Days later, a young historian, Thomas, arrived in the village, his heart filled with curiosity and a thirst for knowledge. Drawn by tales of ancient lore and mysterious legends, he was oblivious to the dark secret lurking beneath the surface, a secret that had haunted the village for centuries. The villagers were wary, their faces etched with a fear they couldn't hide, their eyes darting nervously as if expecting something dreadful to happen at any moment. Whispers of a night demon and a beast in the woods followed him through the narrow cobblestone streets, the eerie tales echoing in his mind. Thomas, however, was more intrigued than afraid. His curiosity was piqued, and he was determined to uncover the truth behind these chilling stories. He spent his days poring over ancient manuscripts in the dimly lit library of the village elder, the soft light casting long shadows on the walls. He found himself drawn to a particular volume, its leather cover brittle with age, the pages whispering secrets of the past. The pages, filled with spidery handwriting, spoke of a curse that had plagued the village for generations, a curse that seemed almost too terrible to be true. The curse of the lichen, a legend that spoke of a werewolf bound to the bloodline, awakening under the full moon. A werewolf, bound to the bloodline, awakening under the full moon, its howl echoing through the night, a harbinger of doom. Each month the beast would claim a victim, dragging them into the darkness, their screams lost to the night. The villagers lived in terror, their fate sealed by an ancient pact they couldn't break, a pact that bound them to this monstrous curse. The manuscript spoke of a way to lift the curse, a ritual that had to be performed under the next full moon, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. But the details were shrouded in riddles, the ink faded and incomplete, leaving Thomas with more questions than answers. Thomas knew he had stumbled upon something significant, a terrifying truth that held the fate of the village in its grasp. A truth that he was now determined to uncover, no matter the cost. Time was running out, and every grain of sand that fell seemed to echo the urgency of his mission. The next full moon was fast approaching, and Thomas could feel the villagers' fear and desperation growing with each passing day. The air was thick with anxiety, and whispers of the curse filled the night. He immersed himself in his research, determined to decipher the cryptic clues hidden within the ancient text. Each page he turned seemed to hold a piece of the puzzle, but the answers remained elusive. He sought out the village elder, a woman as old as time itself, her eyes holding the wisdom of generations. Her presence was both comforting and intimidating, a living link to the past. She told him tales of the curse, her voice a low whisper that sent chills down his spine. The forest seemed to come alive with her words, the wind carrying the echoes of long-forgotten sorrows. She spoke of sacrifices made, of lives lost, and of the ever-present fear that haunted their dreams. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows, making the room feel like a portal to another time. She confirmed his suspicions, the werewolf was real, and it was bound to the bloodline of one of their own. The transformation was a curse that had plagued the village for generations. Thomas felt a surge of sympathy for the villagers, trapped in a nightmare they couldn't escape. Their faces, etched with worry, told stories of sleepless nights and endless fear. He knew he had to help them, to break the curse that had held them captive for so long. The weight of their hopes rested on his shoulders, and he was determined not to let them down. He just hoped he wasn't too late. The ticking clock was a constant reminder that time was of the essence, and failure was not an option. As the full moon rose, bathing the village in its eerie glow, a palpable sense of dread settled over the villagers. They barricaded themselves in their homes, their faces pale with terror. Tonight, the beast would walk among them again. Thomas, armed with his research and a newfound sense of urgency, prepared for the night. He had managed to decipher a portion of the ritual, enough to believe he could confront the werewolf. He gathered the necessary elements: silver, wolfsbane, and a silver crucifix, his hands trembling slightly as he did so. A blood-curdling scream pierced the night, followed by the sounds of chaos and destruction. The werewolf had struck. Thomas rushed out into the night, his heart pounding in his chest. He could hear the creature moving through the village, its heavy footsteps shaking the ground beneath his feet.